Every year in classrooms across America, there is a pivotal moment that can change a child's academic trajectory. The moment they move from learning to read to reading to learn. For many, the transition comes around third or fourth grade, but too often, the reading skills just aren't strong enough and the gap grows. By the time students reach fourth grade, the consequences of not being fully fluent readers can ripple through the rest of their schooling and even into their future. What if we could close that gap? What if we could ensure every child is reading confidently by fourth grade? How would that change lives, communities, our economy, our society? Today, we bring you insights, research, and practical steps from Dr. Gwendolyn Lavert. She has devoted her life to helping students claim their power through reading. Someone who dares to ask, who says I can't? Hello and welcome to Everything But the Lesson Plan. I am your host, Francesca Thompson, and I am honored today to have this conversation with Dr. Lavert, an educator, researcher, and advocate whose mission has been to close the reading gap by fourth grade. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you for this opportunity.
I'm so excited about our conversation. I love your passion that I'm seeing on social media about what we're going to be talking about today.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yes. So, Dr. Lavert, in your work, you emphasize the importance of the foundational reading skills, right? Early on. Could you walk us through which skills, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension, and all of those things that are overlooked before fourth grade, and why these early deficits create such a steep climb later on?
And let me tell you the truth plainly and clearly.
Oh.
Overlooked skill in America is phonological awareness, but I call it phonological fluency, not phonics, phonological thinking. If a child cannot hear, hold, and manipulate sounds, the entire reading system collapses. And so here's the order that breaks down first. Phonological proficiency. They cannot notice or recall sounds. Oral vocabulary. They know words, but cannot use or connect them. Fluency with comprehension. They can read fast, but not understand. Comprehension. They're asked to think using cognitive tools they never developed. So by fourth grade, it isn't a gap, it's a wall. The Annie E. Casey Foundation tells us that 74% of students struggling by third grade never catch up, even though we go through I call them the big five of reading. They never catch up. Why? Because we do not have a reading crisis. At this moment, out of the big five, you never hear cognition or thinking as one of them. But we do not have a reading crisis. We have a cognitive crisis. And what does cognitive crisis mean? It means this. We are asking children to perform academic work with mental tools they were never taught to use. And the mind hasn't been shaped. Yet we keep increasing demands. A cognitive crisis shows up as weak working memory, poor comparison and sequencing, difficulty holding ideas, the inability to self-monitor, emotional overwhelm during cognitive strain. So when thinking is undeveloped
Yeah.
during the big five, everything collapse. Reading, writing, behavior, focus, and confidence. So
Wow.
our goal is if you're going to teach the big five of reading, those foundational skills, which moves
Mhm.
into higher ed, then we need to make sure that we are identifying the cognitive functions under each one of the big five.
And this is what your research is on, right?
This is what my research is on, and this is what my reading who says I can't a 4-year plan to erase the reading gap and achieve proficiency by fourth grade.
Wow. Okay. So, what are the most effective evidence-based interventions that schools can put in place by grades K through third to prevent the reading gap? And can you share some examples of when you've seen certain interventions dramatically change students' trajectories? And I'm sure some of this is in your book.
Oh, all of it is in my book, every
Yes.
last one of them, because I call the big five phonological awareness and
Uh-huh.
words and fluency, and those things they were a part of the National Reading Panel's research, and now they're a part of the science of reading took those big five and put them in their document.
Okay.
The interventions that work are the ones that build the mind beyond the method.
Mm.
That's what consistently moves the needle. I call it the needle. Number one,
Okay.
phonological. Remember, they are still using awareness. Awareness means for the moment. We're talking about proficiency. If we have
Yes.
a large group of our marginalized children who are not reading at proficiency, then everything has to be proficiency, phonological proficiency before phonics. If they can't hear it, they can't
Mm-hmm.
decode it. This alone has changed entire grade levels in schools that I've served. Number
Okay.
two is daily cognitive mediation. Teachers saying, pause, look again, compare, decide. That's where comprehension forms in the mental movement, not the worksheet that most kids are
Mm.
engaged in. Number three is structural literacy plus cognitive functions. So when pattern recognition, sequencing, and classification are paired with strategies, guess what happened to the retention? They skyrocket. But if you
Wow.
don't put those cognitive functions under
Yeah.
the structured literacy will not be strong enough to hold them through the reading and also through the comprehension that they have to do, not only in the reading, but also on state test.
Mm-hmm.
Micro interventions, not guided reading, not generic groups. I mean, intentional, gap specific, 8 to 10 minutes intervention. And
Mm.
yes, I've seen this transformation in students. I've taken schools from 35% to 67% proficiency in 1 year simply by teaching the cognitive functions behind the strategies. And there's no
Okay.
one who does that.
Wow.
Here are the three actions that changes everything. Number one, talk to your child consistently. Oral language is the foundation of comprehension.
Mm.
Conversation builds the brain for free. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Conversation builds the brain for free. So in my book, we talk about reading aloud and reciprocal teaching. So the
Yeah.
research says that if you did that for 90 minutes for I think that's a month and whatever. If you read aloud and did the reciprocal teaching where you're asking them questions, you can move 95% of your kids to proficiency
Wow.
just by doing that. And I've had that done. I've talked about reading aloud daily, even 10 minutes reading aloud with the reciprocal teaching, along with the talking. That's changing.
Mm-hmm.
Narrative thinking, say aloud, I'm looking again, I'm comparing, I'm deciding. This builds the child's internal self-talk. We're talking about using the cognitive functions, but we're talking about metacognition. We're going to use
Yes.
cognitive functions to build the strategies And that's going to help kids move to metacognition, which is thinking about their thinking, because as they are using the cognitive functions in the strategies, they're thinking about their thinking.
Yes.
Right now, what are they thinking about? How to pronounce the word, the phonics. So we're
Mm-hmm.
making sure that they're automatic in their phonics, and then they can move into this major part of the narrative thinking, saying, I'm looking again, I'm comparing, I'm deciding. This
Yes.
builds the child's inner self-talk, which is the engine of comprehension.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And let me tell
And
you,
so parents don't need resources, they need awareness, they need proficiency.
yeah. So wait, let's pause for a second
Okay.
because I need everybody to know your background. I don't think we got into that.
Okay.
Okay, tell me. So we know that this is your field of study. You're an expert in this topic. Tell me where. So you were you a teacher at first,
I
and
was
tell me
a
your
teacher.
journey.
I have 30 plus years in education.
Okay.
So I've been a classroom teacher, early literacy, kindergarten, first grade.
Mhm.
I've been a literacy lab teacher where I've taught fourth, fifth, and sixth. I've been a district literacy specialist. I've been a curriculum specialist. I've been an
Yes.
assistant principal, dean, principal. I've been a university professor where I taught early literacy, secondary literacy. I've taught with my PhD in leadership literacy. I met Professor Feuerstein in Paris, France for 4 years. I learned
Mhm.
about cognitive modifiability, how the brain could be changed. I've, with Dr. Feuerstein, he was so amazing that he reshaped what I thought was missing. I just didn't know what it was when my kids really couldn't get it. It wasn't about the strategy, but it was about the thinking that every strategy holds. So then I wrote
Wow.
Who Says I Can't? And within the book, I put all the charts and the graphs and things that teachers needed to help them. I'm also the author of many children's books. I've written for McGraw-Hill, Pearson, and some of the major publishing houses. So with all of those mixed in together, I've been international. I've worked in Dubai for the Ministry of Education, Oman for the Ministry of Education. I've worked for Qatar University, where I've trained a specialist. And I came back to the United States in 2017, just before the pandemic hit. And
Yeah.
I changed around totally four low performing schools. And now
Cool.
I'm writing and talking with teachers, training principals. That's who I want, because I think principals, that's what my doctorate is, looking at middle school teachers and middle
Uh-huh.
school principals to make sure that they understand what literacy is all about, because they must become instructional leaders.
Yes. Wow. So then that leads me because I wanted everybody to know who you were. And so and why you're on the show as an expert in this topic. So my next question is this: many students are facing the reading gap. They come from marginalized communities, low income, with fewer resources, schools that are underfunded. Same thing, just a different year. What are some of the systematic barriers that impede progress, and how can we tackle them to ensure equity in reading achievement by the fourth grade?
Okay. Number one, that one of the things that I did as a instructional leader was to make sure I had a very strong strategic plan.
Yes.
And that strategic plan included not only parents, but the community, because it takes, as they say, it takes a village
Mhm.
to change literacy. And that is really true. I think parents, when we send out test results, we don't need to send out numbers. We need to send out a learning plan, so that
Wow.
parents will know what they need to do. I talked with a parent not very long ago, and I said, "So where's your child? What level is your child on?" She said, "Well, I don't know. They just sent me this package with a whole lot of numbers." They need the learning
Mhm.
plan, and teachers need to sit down and talk with them about the gaps in reading. And then the principals need to have parent meetings. In one of my schools that I worked with, once a month we had learning cycles for parents, and they would come. So whatever the gaps were, if it was main idea, that's what we focused in on. We gave
Mm-hmm.
parents things to work on at home with their kids. We talked about thinking and gave them questions for thinking. What would happen if this? Why would that happen? And we stopped doing the I do, we do, which is outcome based. We started
Okay.
doing cognitive. I think, we think, they think, I think
Mm.
this, you think. So what are you thinking? So we're not letting kids get away with just saying whatever they want to. Reading
Yeah.
is not a strategy problem. It is a cognitive problem. So if we want strong readers, we must build strong thinkers. And everything else is just a band-aid if we're trying to do anything else. But we must train our parents. We can't say that our parents don't want to. That's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. Many of them do not know. And
They
so we
don't.
just put them into our curriculum. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the last thing is that we must stop just going by pacing guides at schools. Just this says do this. We have to realize that all of our kids learn in different ways. And we have to look at the data to see where the data is saying our kids are in a holding gap. And those are the things that we need to call parents in. The second thing, we have a lot of kids who have IEPs in
Mm-hmm.
special ed. We need to go back and revisit those IEPs and many times update them to make sure we're focused in on their gaps. Because if we're not doing that, and all the kids have to take the test, and we have not addressed where our SPED kids are, then guess
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen? They're always going to be low performing. So I hope that's enough to get you started.
Yes. And it's not a one size fit all.
It's
This,
not a one size fit all.
yeah, that's good. So, my my last question, you talked about it a little bit, is this piece on community.
Mhm.
Give me some more on what that means. How can the community take action?
Well, number one, I think there needs to be strong experts who are guiding the community. They need to
Mm-hmm.
bring in someone in the community that's a strong expert, or they need to bring someone in to talk about literacy and numeracy, even math, because they go hand in hand. So they need someone to come in to talk about it. I think
Mm-hmm.
the main movers and shakers in the community must come forth, and they must be the guiding force in having these monthly meetings. I would say monthly meetings with the entire community to tell truth about what is happening to our children, marginalized children, or whatever. Many times we don't have to worry too much about the wealthy kids because their parents will find someone to tutor them or whatever needs to be done. But we're talking about our very poor and marginalized students. Their parents need guidance. And if it's having tutoring, and not just tutoring, but
Mm-hmm.
trained tutoring or intervention to help whomever is working with children actually understanding what gap changing means. So I think monthly meetings need to be consistent, not one
Mm-hmm.
time, but if we're going to say once a month, it must be there. It must be very well organized by
Yeah.
experts who can move them. Parents need to leave with assignments to help their children out of the gaps. I always say that, out of the gaps.
Out of the
They
gaps.
out of the
Mhm.
gaps. You need to get them out of the
Out
gaps.
of it.
And also, every night they must have at least 10 to 15 minutes of reading, and not
Mhm.
just reading, but questioning them. Give them the reciprocal teaching strategy. Show them parents, how to do it so that every night they are doing it, and show them how to have conversations about literacy when they're having dinner. Sometimes you have to come to the table. I mean, back in the day, people may say, oh, that's kind of old and outdated, but it's not. Back in the
Mhm.
day, we had time, we didn't do it every time, but nearly every evening we had dinner together
Yes.
so that we can talk, not in front of
Mhm.
the TV, turn the TVs off,
Mhm.
turn the iPads off and have reading time, have
Yeah.
discussion time. That
Yeah.
needs to be a major focus that's not happening in the families.
Yeah. And you're right. We still do that in our family. Not like you said every night, but it's very
Mhm.
important to have those conversations with your kids
Yeah.
and just, so that's good.
One other thing I think is they need to have game time, and the game that needs to be played is chess.
Yes.
Chess is a thinking game. And
Okay.
thinking and making decisions about things all of the time. So the whole family needs to learn how to play chess.
Play chess. Well, you know what? Christmas is right around the corner for us.
Yeah, you need to
That
get a
might be a gift.
chessboard. Chessboard and Scrabble. Those are
Okay.
two games. A
Well,
spelling for Scrabble and chess is to make good decisions and great
okay.
moves.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna pick up a board for the
Okay.
holidays.
All right.
Thank you for that. So, Dr. Lavert, this has been a deeply insightful conversation, and I appreciate all of your thoughtful work that you're doing to flip the script about who's told they can't become strong readers. Before we close, what is
Okay.
one message you would like every educator, parent, or policymaker to walk away with today?
That there is not a reading, there's not a reading crisis. It's a thinking crisis.
Wow.
Till we teach children how to think and process information, we will forever move them to a state of not being able to compete in this technological world. And that's the bottom
Mm. That's it.
strategy you have. You've got to find the cognitive function that moves with it. And that's my retention brain framework.
Wow. Well,
And to
once
buy
again, go ahead.
and to buy my book.
Yeah, and I'm going to have that book in the link. And you will travel, right? You'll travel to schools for conferences and things like that.
And keynote speaking, I did keynote speaking for parents, for teachers in school districts,
Okay.
for sororities, fraternities,
Oh,
everybody.
okay. Well, you heard it here. So thank you again for joining us. To our listeners, if you are an educator or a parent, think about the children in your life or your classroom. They might be closer than you think to crossing that reading threshold. And if you're a policymaker or a donor, consider investing in early literacy now. It pays forward in measurable ways. So until next time, I am Francesca Thompson with Everything But the Lesson Plan. Remember, reading changes everything. Keep thriving.